Through corporate social responsibility, companies of all sizes can make a difference for the better CSR. When businesses decide to act in a moral way, they not only earn more trust from their customers, but they also make more money. Customers think they are making a difference when they buy something or use a service from a company that cares about the community. The more a company cares about the community and its customers, the more support it gets from them. Corporate social responsibility helps build customer trust by caring about things like Environment Day, bringing attention to them, and pushing for social change. Even if a lot of businesses help, the actions of big international companies can have a big effect on things like hunger, health, global warming, and climate change. There are different kinds of social responsibility for a business. Even the smallest business can make a big difference in the world by giving a small amount to the local food bank. Here are some of the most common examples of CSR. Putting out less carbon, improving labor policy, taking part in fair trade, equity, and diversity, and giving to good causes around the world. Investing with a social and environmental conscience means doing things like volunteering in the community and doing business online in ways that are good for the environment. Businesses that care about the world around them are much more important to millennials and people from Generation Z. They think that businesses should invest in making society better and look for ways to help make those changes happen. People should be able to see how a company is trying to make the world a better place by letting them know about its good deeds. It's important to learn how to market to millennials because this will affect the choices they make as consumers. It's important to show that you've tried. Millennials also like to do things like give money to charity and work for free. More and more businesses are starting to realize how their socially and environmentally responsible actions affect how consumers see them. This makes it more likely that businesses will start their own projects. Changes in the way corporate social responsibility is done. Changes in CSR patterns will be affected by the activism of all generations, including millennials. Because of the #MeToo movement, businesses should continue to condemn harassment and discrimination in the workplace in public. Diversity in the workplace will also continue to grow to include people of different races, genders, cultures, sexual orientations, and physical and mental disabilities. A lot of brands are getting more outspoken on social media and showing their support for important social issues in a way that works. Also, businesses will speak out against policy changes that hurt the environment and social injustice. More and more data breaches put personal information at risk, and regulations to protect data privacy in a changing world may also start to show up in CSR trends. Companies doing the right thing. Johnson & Johnson's use of green technology. Johnson & Johnson, one of the first big drug companies, is a great example of CSR in action. Over the past 30 years, they have worked hard to reduce the damage they do to the environment. Its programs do things like use wind power and give people in different parts of the world access to clean water. By buying a privately owned energy company in the Texas Panhandle, the business was able to reduce pollution and offer a cheap, environmentally friendly alternative to electricity. With the goal of getting all of its energy from renewable sources by 2025, the company is still looking into ways to get energy from renewable sources. 2. Problems with people. Google. Google is trusted in part because of its well-known CEO, Sundar Pichai, and also because it takes care of the environment. He says what he thinks about things in society. Google also got the highest CSR 2018 score from the Reputation Institute. This was mostly because their data centers use 50% less energy than those of other companies around the world. Also, they have put more than $1 billion into projects that use clean energy, and they offer services like Gmail that help other companies reduce their impact on the environment. 3. Coca's commitment to the environment. Coca-Cola is a company that puts a lot of value on being environmentally friendly. Climate, packaging, agriculture, water conservation, and product quality are all important factors. Their slogan is "A world without waste," and they work to make sure there is enough water by collecting and recycling every bottle, using 100% recyclable packaging, and replacing all the water used to make their drinks with water from the environment. By the year 2030, they want to cut their carbon footprint by 25%. In 2021, Coca-Cola made its first bottle of soda out of plastic that came from plants. Our goal is to make solutions that will last for the whole industry. We hope that more companies will join us so that we can all move forward. 4. The company Ford has big goals for CSR, like making sure everyone gets paid fairly and not making any carbon emissions. Their stated goal is to make a better world where everyone is free to move and pursue their own goals. We're committed to carbon neutrality, said Bob Holycross, Ford's Vice President and Chief Sustainability, Environment, and Safety Officer. It's the right choice for Ford, the environment, and our customers. At the moment, 95% of our carbon emissions come from our operations, cars, and suppliers, and we are working hard and with hope to change all of these things. Strangely, the business is also putting a lot of emphasis on wage equity. To make things fair for all employees, they are putting in place a global salary pay ratio that takes gender into account and doing an audit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. 5 and 6. Worker rights at Netflix and Spotify. From a social point of view, companies like Netflix and Spotify help their employees and their families. Netflix offers 52 weeks of paid parental leave to both birth parents and non-birth parents, which includes adopted children. This can be done at any time, during a child's first year of life, or at another time that works for them. This is different from other big tech companies, where it takes an average of 18 weeks. You can get similar benefits from Spotify, but only for 24 weeks of paid vacation. The business thinks that the start of this campaign led to a rise in job applications from outside the company that hasn't gone away. Through their social media channels, Netflix and Spotify support social movements like Black Lives Matter, Pride Month, and taking care of the environment. Netflix is a good example of how to use social media to reach niche and minority groups and appeal to them. 7. Access to healthcare. Pfizer. When a disaster happens, people need medical help right away. Pfizer has a 3-part plan to help in these situations: donations of products, grants, and ways to get to the medicine. Grants have been given to countries like Haiti because of Hurricane Matthew and the ongoing refugee crisis in Europe and the Middle East. This money is given to NGOs so that it can reach as many people as possible. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Pfizer gave $5 million through its Global Medical Grants Program to help improve the identification, diagnosis, care, and management of patients. Hospitals, clinics, and other medical facilities were also given grants to help them keep a better eye on COVID-19 patients and treat them better. In 2022, Pfizer was named one of the most moral businesses in the world by the magazine Ethisphere. Wells Fargo gives money to charities. Wells Fargo gives up to 1.5% of its profits to charitable causes each year. This money goes to help more than 14,500 nonprofits, such as food banks and incubators for new businesses in plant science and renewable energy. The business gave $6.25 million to help the United States and other countries fight the COVID-19 epidemic. The CDC Foundation will get $1 million. The International Medical Corps will get $250,000 to help with its work in 30 countries, and $5 million will be given to local efforts to meet community needs. 9. Projects that help the community. TOMS. TOMS gives a pair of shoes to a child in need for every pair of shoes they sell. This has led to about 100 million pairs of shoes being given to children in need. These profits have helped the blind by giving them glasses and medical care, giving them safe drinking water, and setting up businesses in less developed countries to create jobs. Since non-governmental organizations said that TOMS was making people too dependent on shoes and hurting local shoe industries, the company has rethought its business model. Instead of giving away shoes, the company now gives 1/3 of its income to local projects. This includes groups like Black Lives Matter and the COVID-19 Giving Fund that work for racial justice. We found that giving people shoes, glasses, and clean water for more than a decade was a great start, the right start, to making big changes. But our community will be able to do a lot more if we decide to give out impact grants. We're giving away 1/3 of what we make instead of buying shoes. In other words, we give away $1 for every $3 we make, which is the most a business can give away and still stay in business. The Tom's Impact Report for 2019 to 2020. 10. Bosch, a climate-neutral company. Bosch set high standards for the environment by focusing on reducing their impact on the environment through climate action, water use, and a circular economy. As of now, 400 of its facilities are climate neutral, so it looks like this goal has been met and paved the way for other multinational companies to do the same. Now the company wants to cut its emissions by 15% in both the upstream, buying goods and services, and downstream, using products, sectors by 2030. 11. Clean technology made by GE. Since Imagination was introduced more than 10 years ago, General Electric has been focusing on renewable energy with the goal of doubling down on clean technology and making $20 billion from eco-friendly products. As part of its Imagination Challenge, which started last year, GE gave each of 5 people $100,000 to help them develop ideas like an inflatable wind turbine, an intelligent water meter, a cyber-secure network architecture, and technologies that protect against short circuits and power outages. Starbucks promotes diversity and inclusion at work. Starbucks wanted to hire more people from different backgrounds and give people in certain groups more chances. It has promised to hire 25,000 U.S. military veterans and their spouses by 2025 as part of its efforts to be socially responsible. The company reached this goal 6 years earlier than expected and now hires 5,000 veterans and their spouses each year. Starbucks set up a mentorship program to help Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC, get in touch with top leaders and work together on issues of racial and social fairness. The chain wants to have 40% BIPOC workers in retail and production and 30% BIPOC workers in corporate roles by 2025. 13. The company New Belgium Brewing. This brewery cares about the environment and is owned by all of its employees through a stock ownership plan. By 2030, the brewery in Fort Collins, Colorado, wants all of its beers to be carbon neutral. It uses solar panels and wastewater to make electricity. Also, for every barrel it sells, it gives $1 to help promote its charitable work, principles, and goals. Katie Wallace, who is in charge of CSR, says, "We think that social and environmental well-being are closely linked." 14. Local communities. In its 2020 CSR report, the Walt Disney Company set goals for lowering its carbon footprint, such as zero net greenhouse gas emissions, zero waste, and a promise to save water. They are actively following strict international labor laws in order to protect the rights and safety of their workers. They also try to get their employees involved in the community by doing the same things. When the COVID-19 outbreak forced Disney to close its parks, the company focused its CSR efforts on the local area. They gave $27 million for donations of food, personal protective equipment, PPE, from abandoned parks, and cleaning up the set. They also asked their staff to do virtual volunteering. 15. Lego packaging. Lego will spend $400 million over the next 3 years, with a focus on improving its efforts to be more environmentally friendly. As a modern super brand, their main goal is to stop putting its bricks in single-use plastic packaging and switch to sustainable packaging by 2025. In 2021, they will test paper bags and boxes with the help of the Forest Stewardship Council. Also, they are spending money on more products that are good for the environment and don't make trash or carbon. CEO of the Lego Group Niels B. Christensen said, "We can't lose sight of the basic problems that the next generation will face. We must act quickly to protect the environment and the next generation. We are inspired by the many children who have asked for more immediate action on climate change because we are a company that looks to children as our role models."